we've got fragments of the Quran that extant to the Prophet, that existed from the time of the Prophet. They don't have one single letter that dates from the time of Jesus.
Did you note carefully what he said?
One of them is second century. Second century.
Did you note what he carefully said? Did he note what he carefully said?
Go on now, twist my
Birmingham.
words. Go on, twist my words.
I'm not going to twist anyone's words.
You are renowned for it.
He said, we have Quranic manuscriptal fragments dating to the time of Muhammad, is what he said. You know what the problem is? That is not good news for Islam, that is bad news for Islam. No. You know why it is bad news? I'll explain. According to Hadiths, Hadiths is what you use to understand the history of Islam. According to Hadiths...
Now he's telling us what our religion is.
Wow. According to Hadiths, you are not expected to find a Quranic manuscript.
Show me where it says that.
Let me finish.
Show me where it says that.
Let me finish.
Show me where it says that.
Let me finish.
Show me where it says that.
Let me finish.
You made a claim. Show me where it says that.
I haven't finished. Now he is becoming desperate. Can you see?
Bring up the hadith.
Can you see that he is desperate?
You'll just carry on and just leave it, yeah? You'll ignore it.
Can you see he is becoming desperate? He is not letting me finish the point.
No, see, this is desperation.
The lady thinks you should stay quiet right now. Okay, coming to you. You know what the problem is? He doesn't appreciate that because he is very desperate at the moment. The point, Thoda say, please, move away a little bit, please.
Well, stop moving closer to me.
I moved close to him?
Yeah.
Can you believe this nonsense? Did I not tell you he is the chief comedian of the park? There are reasons. There are reasons why I said what I said. Now, coming to you, sir. You know why?
He's known as the,
you know why finding manuscriptal fragments from during the time of Muhammad is a problem? You know why that's a problem? Finding manuscriptal fragments from the time of Muhammad, he thinks is good news, but Islam thinks is bad news. Hadiths think it's bad news. You know why? According to the Hadiths, Uthman, the third caliph, supposedly burnt all early manuscripts, all early manuscripts of the Quran, and standardized, came up with, according to the Hadiths, standardized text for the Quran. No one knows for sure how many copies he prepared. Some say 5, some say 6, some say it could be as many as 8. But all of them were supposed to have been from the time of Uthman, not from the time of Muhammad. When he was caliph, third caliph, about 3 decades later, after Muhammad passed away, he burnt all previous manuscripts. In other words, if you find a manuscript which is contemporaneous with Muhammad, you have a problem. No, I am saying if hadiths are true. I say supposedly, hadiths do not say supposedly. Either Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih hadiths are wrong.
You're going to speak alone, are you?
Excuse me, I am speaking. Are you alone?
Speak alone.
What's your name, sir? I am speaking to Ahmed. My name is Arul. There are 2 people involved. No, not interested. Ahmed, I'm speaking to Ahmed.
He's lying.
He's lying. You understand my point?
He's lying.
What was the point of?
Bukhari or...
So let me put it this way. When I ask...
No, you're saying no, either...
I know. I'm clarifying right now.
What's the other option?
I'll clarify, yeah. There are only 2 options. Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih hadiths are not Sahih anymore.
Okay,
or Birmingham manuscript came from the Birmingham manuscript isn't from Muhammad's time. One of those 2.
Why one of the 2?
Because if Birmingham manuscript was really from the time of Muhammad, which is what scientists are claiming, the problem is Sahih al-Bukhari's Sahih hadith saying Uthman burnt all previous manuscripts would not be Sahih anymore. It'll be daif.
Yeah, but that's you just presuming
it is. I use the word supposedly. Islam doesn't say.
One was burnt.
Have you ever read the hadith?
There's the twist.
Some of them.
There's the twist of the
Some of them.
You're presuming
Sahih al-Bukhari, you know the word Sahih.
That later on someone could not have discovered.
Sahih al-Bukhari has been named Sahih for a reason. Sahih al-Bukhari has been named.
Absolutely make that claim.
You don't understand what Sahih
These guys will not let you listen, Ahmed.
You do not understand what Sahih means.
Ahmed,
you do not understand
Ahmad,
what Sahih
this
means.
is my
Yeah?
point to you,
Why
Ahmad.
either or?
They are logically contradictory,
I don't think so.
mutually exclusive claims.
Explain. Why are they mutually exclusive?
Either Uthman burnt all Quranic manuscripts before which can date before 650 AD, or he did not.
Why? Oh yeah, okay.
Or he did not.
Or he did not, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
If he did,
But that's not what Sahih
if he
means.
did,
That's a
it's
trivial
not-
point.
Yeah,
Either
but
he
it's not
burned
what
I'm
all of
listening.
them,
means.
Or he
yeah?
didn't burn them, right?
Huh?
That's a logical.
no,
There
he
is no
can't grasp.
guarantee that-
No, even that level of thinking he doesn't do.
There isn't.
That's too much for him already.
Trivial point. That's a trivial point. Yes.
Ahmad, that's too much for him already.
That's the point of Sahih.
No, Ahmad, you know what the problem with you is? You know what your problem is? Your problem is you're thinking much more than him.
No, your problem is.
And he can't keep up to
lying.
speed.
That's what your problem is.
But you understood exactly what I said. Ahmad, you understood exactly what I
Your
said.
point, though.
Yeah. My point, you understood precisely. They are mutually exclusive.
No, I didn't. I didn't say that.
there. Start from. It's
Either he burnt or he did not.
Start there, yeah.
Either
Either-
he burnt all of them, or he didn't burn all of them, or he burned some of them, or he didn't burn anything, right? So
No, wait.
What's the...
The Sahih al-Bukhari hadith says he burnt all manuscripts that date from before his time
Actually
and
said
prepared
he
standardized
ordered
manuscripts.
all manuscripts to be
Oh.
burned. He
ordered,
ordered them.
okay.
He didn't burn.
Do you-
He didn't put a match
That's
to
an
every
important
single
distinction.
one.
That's
Yeah?
an important
He didn't put
distinction.
a match to every single one.
Good.
He ordered them burnt. So there is a possibility. There is a possibility that not every single one was burnt, which accounts for the manuscript that we've got in Birmingham.
Okay, so,
yeah?
so
One second.
the order
Do you believe in the hadiths? Were you ever told the story?
Every single hadith?
Yeah. Were you ever?
I'm not aware of
No,
it.
not every single one of them. Were you ever told the story? Let me. Were you ever told the story that all of Arabian Peninsula became Muslim by the time Muhammad passed away? Were you ever told that story?
The Islamic Empire spread more than the Arabian Peninsula.
No. I'm asking only about
Yes.
Arabian
I'm
Peninsula.
answering, yes.
I'm only about. Yeah. Good. So, according to
No,
you,
there were
Where does it
non-Muslims
say
there. There were
that?
non-Muslims inside
Yeah,
there.
where did
Like where?
where does it
Like
say
where?
that
Like
the
where?
whole of
Where?
the Arabian
There were
Peninsula
Christians and Jews
became
in
Muslim?
there.
Where? Where?
What do you mean where? Medina,
have you
Mecca.
have you
does it say
have you
that?
ever read the Quran?
Where does it say
Have you
that?
ever read the Quran?
Where does it say that?
The Quran is very clear in regard.
do you know where?
No,
the
he
Quran.
doesn't. He's just making stuff up. Yeah,
I don't
he's just
think
making
it's-
stuff
I don't
up.
think he is. I don't think he's making
I know he is. He is renowned for this. Yeah, he is. Now he's trying
Now
to
call
twist.
out. Now
he's
call
trying-
out is ad
he's-
hominem.
He's now trying to twist
Okay.
what the term Sahih means. Yeah?
Caliph,
There were not 100%.
a caliph. According to Islamic fantasy stories, a caliph had supernatural power. Everyone obeyed. When the caliph declares,
See, he's
caliph.
He's adding lies and insults at the same
I've
time.
never heard that before. That they have supernatural powers.
Well, that was clearly an exaggeration, trying to make a simple point that according to Islam, by the time of the death of Muhammad, all of the Arabian Peninsula had willingly accepted Islam.
Disagree.
Provide me
No, I don't
evidence
think
otherwise.
No, that's not a historical fact.
Provide me evidence otherwise.
That
3 Jewish tribes wiped out according to Islam. I don't believe in that.
provide you evidence that we didn't have 100% Muslims. Every single man, woman, and child in the Arabian Peninsula is Muslim. I think we can say that wasn't the case.
So wait a second. So in terms
I
of
can't. Yeah, right. How can I do that?
in terms of Quranic manuscripts, in terms of I can't believe.
Yes, Quran. Yes, I'm with you. In terms of Quranic manuscripts,
Ahmad, in terms of Quranic manuscripts, preserving Quranic manuscripts, have you ever heard the story that Quranic manuscripts have been perfectly preserved? Have you ever heard that story?
that's the tradition.
No, have you ever heard?
That's what I'm telling you. Yes.
Is that an apologetic point used week in, week out everywhere across the world? The Quran has been preserved, the Quran has been preserved.
That's the miracle of the Quran that it's been
Yeah.
preserved.
In other words, yeah. So
In
that's a
other
claim
words-
that
In
that's
other words, what?
that's a claim that you would make. That's a claim that you would make, yeah?
Yes, as a Muslim.
So whatever Uthman intended to burn, if it wasn't burnt, your claim would be not true.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Whatever Uthman
No, I heard what you said, but I don't follow how the logic comes.
why did Uthman, would you burn a Quran?
Would I burn a Quran? Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because it's my sacred book.
It's your sacred book.
Yes.
Would Uthman consider the Quran to be a sacred book?
I didn't know him personally, but I assume he would, yes.
Well, he better do, because if he did not, you are not following him. So you're clearly,
I don't follow Uthman.
Well, wait a second. Who do you follow?
Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and God's word.
Who?
Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Who gives the information about him?
I get my information about him from the Sirah and the scholars that are.
Who gave them?
They are experts in their field.
Who are they? People who came even later than Uthman.
Who are scholars?
How did they become experts? How did they become scholars?
People, Ahmad, don't repeat brainwashed storyline. You have no direct access to Muhammad. There is no way you can access information about Muhammad directly. You clearly have to depend
On the chain.
on early sources.
On the chain.
If you were to ridicule your early sources, including Uthman,
You're the one
you.
ridiculing.
No, I thought you said he might. What I can't remember the exact wording you used, but you implied that if you won't burn the Quran, you would assume that he wouldn't.
Yes.
I am saying he better don't also.
Of course.
Yeah, clearly. So that's the simple point I was trying to make. I don't know why you were trying to run away from that simple point.
I'm
Anyway,
not running
now
away.
we agreed. Not clearly physically, metaphorically.
No, I mean metaphorically. I'm trying to make
Fine.
precise.
Uthman could not have burnt a valid Quran.
Could not.
Could not have burnt a valid Quran. If you wouldn't dare to do that.
I can't
Why
tell
the
you-
hesitation?
I can't tell you what another person would do.
Well, if you would not do, and if you get your ideas of what you should do, shouldn't do from them, clearly he wouldn't, she shouldn't have done that either.
we can assume.
It's a logical inference. It's not an assumption. It better be true. If not, you're already following a fantasy idea according to your own words. Okay, he better do.
Get what he's
So,
trying to say?
yeah. So he would not have burnt. He would not have burnt a valid Quran. So whatever he intended to burn wouldn't have been a valid Quran.
Sure.
And therefore, whatever he intended to burn, if it wasn't burnt and if it still remains, you have a problem.
That may be the case.
In other words, if he had intended to burn everything that came before his time and if it still remains, you have a problem. Regardless of whether people, whatever the reason behind that was. Cool, that's my entire point. And you can take any number of ways. Islam does not have legs to stand on. You can either go historical validity basis, you can take that basis, or you can take the basis of religious sanctity in the way you associate with the Quran in regards to what they did to the Quran. You can do any of these analysis. In one of these ways, you would find out the Islam that you follow could not have been the Islam of that time. There is some problem somewhere. If all the Quranic manuscripts that Uthman intended to burn weren't burnt, by some Tom, Dick and Harry, if something was preserved, then the claim that Quran has been perfectly preserved, i.e. only the standardized versions have survived, could not be true anymore. It's a massive lie.
Question: when you're saying burned, you're talking about physical copies that they're burning, yes?
Well, what else do you burn?
Okay.
Do you burn? What else do you burn?
Yes. From my understanding, the Quran is preserved until today because of the oral tradition.
That's
They
not
have
the point. Why did Uthman have to burn?
Yeah. So
You know, this is the problem,
I'm trying to
Ahmed.
make a point.
Okay, please, baby.
So you're talking about burning the physical copies, but we believe that it was preserved in the memories of people.
Who is the we?
The Muslim tradition believes that the Quran was carried on as an oral tradition.
Okay. My point, I
How
made.
can you burn something that's in the minds of people? Right?
I think you're making an irrelevant point. I'll demonstrate why. One of the fundamental problems, Ahmed, that you have is that you are overthinking and putting yourself even above Uthman himself. I'm answering. You're putting yourself even above even Uthman. That is the problem. Uthman burnt. If you think burning doesn't help, why did Uthman do it?
No, I'm just asking, what about the versions that the scholars at the time had memorized?
Okay, please, can I please borrow the book for a moment from you? Okay, can I please borrow some book from someone? Okay, let me, that's fine. For simplicity of demonstration. If this is the true copy of the Quran, good text. But if there is some other bad text, regardless of whether a million other people memorize it or not, there is some bad text of the Quran, which is the definition of corruption. So it doesn't matter whether a million memorized it or not, which I don't believe in anyway, by the way, and that is a different point entirely. The moment you have a corrupt version of the Quran in existence, Quranic text could not enjoy. No, please, Ahmed, think through first. You were thinking really well so far. Now, let me finish. The moment you find a corrupted version in some way, shape or form, i.e. a version which was intended to be burnt, i.e. including Birmingham manuscriptal fragment, the problem is to go around claiming that the Quranic text is perfectly preserved would become a nonsensical claim that only brainwashed people can make. That's my entire point. Please. Yeah.
I don't think if there's one corrupt version somewhere, doesn't mean that all of it is corrupt.
So what is the definition? Sorry, go on.
If there's one corrupt version of this book, okay, that he has in his home, doesn't mean that the one I have here is corrupt. So what do you mean if there's one that he wants to burn that is corrupt, then all of them are corrupt? How is that a logical choice there?
What is your definition of non-corruption?
The right version.
What is the right version? Define. The right version is not a claim.
Authentic version. The one that was.
Ahmed, please listen to me.
But I raised a logical point, and
You haven't. I'm making.
I just did. Yes, what do you mean?
I don't think you made a logical point. I'm challenging you right now.
If there is one version that was corrupt that he ordered to be burned, that means that all of it must have been corrupt. How did you go from one version that is corrupt to all of it is corrupt?
No, my point simply is.
That's what you said, right?
That's not what I said.
What did you say then? Say it again.
What I am saying is, Islam claims a certain thing about the Quran as a text in regards to corruption.
Authentic.
This is in the context of the biblical text.
Islam doesn't claim that there was never, ever no one corrupt version. I'm sure someone had the corrupt version.
Ahmed,
in their house.
I heard you already. I heard already.
Then answer it, please.
I'm answering right now. My point simply is, you're misunderstanding. You're making a wonderful point, but unfortunately your point is not the point Islam agrees with. Islam makes points which are not valid points, and therefore your point would be valid.
Not Islam. You just made the point that there's one corrupt version.
I'm answering.
Okay.
I'm answering right now.
Answer. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, some things are long. So the entire claim of Muslims today about the preservation of Quran has plenty of holes. One of the implicit details in the claim is that it is obvious for everyone as to what text is the preserved, correct, accurate text of the Quran. That is an obvious implicit assumption. The moment you have a manuscript which even dates from about the time of Muhammad surviving today, on what basis would you say, oh, that manuscript has to be rejected? If you...
On what basis? Can I tell you on what basis? Is that the question?
No.
That's not the question.
That's a rhetorical question. I need to finish. Islam's claim essentially implicitly assumes there is no variant reading preserved. This is, and of course there is the Qiraat. There are plenty of holes. Qiraats.
There's 7 qiraats.
There are Qiraats, Ahrufs, plenty of problems already in that regard. But ignoring that, pretend, for example, that problem did not exist.
I don't think that's a problem. There's 7 qiraats. You're right.
Okay. How many Qiraats did Uthman record? How many Uthmanic standard version? How many standard versions did he prepare?
I don't know. You know?
So how?
I'm not a historian. I don't know. I'm not a historian.
But did you a moment ago said that Qiraats are not a problem for preservation?
I said there's 7.
How can you? No, the 7 Qiraats you said is not a problem. You wouldn't be able to say that unless you know how many Uthman prepared.
No, because I know that I have a book at home.
Ahmed, you need to listen carefully. Ahmed, listen carefully, please. If Uthman prepared only one Qiraat, wrote down only one Qiraat, yeah? If he prepared only one standardized version, it can at maximum be one Qiraat. Yeah? If you have 7 Qiraats today, that's already corruption. Because if he prepared only one,
did he prepare only one?
Yes, he did. So read it. This is my point. Unless you know how many he prepared, you can't even make the point if whether the Qiraat is a problem or not. Qiraat and Ahrufs is a huge elephant in the room. People like you who can employ your brain should be able to think about this. Many of these comedians who were here earlier, they will not think. They will not think.
I'm trying to think with you, but before you made the point about the corruption, and I think that was completely wrong, right? And
Which one?
the fact that if he wanted to burn a corrupt version of the book, if you have a corrupt version of the Quran at home, doesn't mean that the Quran is corrupt in general.
Okay,
It's
sure.
everywhere.
So let me
That's
come
the
back to
point
the.
we were making before, right?
That was the point I was trying to make earlier.
And then you-
We had a slight detour in regards to Qiraat and
That's a good
Harufs.
point, right? That's very important.
Every one of these points are major holes for Islam. Major holes. Every one of them.
Can I ask you
We
a
can.
question? I'm just listening.
Sure.
Is this something unique to Islam? Take Buddhism, right? The oldest Buddhist claim is Pali Canon, right? This is the closest to what the Buddha says. And that has so many variants.
Are you a Muslim, sir? Oh.
No, I'm not.
Okay, but this.
No, but we're
Go on.
talking about overall something that's very, very old, right? Obviously, there will be variations, right?
I know, but can
It
I?
is not unique to Islam. It is true, for example, the Hindu religion. The Vedas,
Over
they
1,000
claim,
years old, right?
yeah, they claim that it's preserved. How do you know? Were you there? Were you recorded? No people. So all religions have this problem. So we have to look at the underlying theme. What is the message?
What's your name,
Message
sir?
of peace.
What's your name,
My
sir?
name is Sriram. I'm from India. I live in the United States. Yes.
Shriram, my name is Arul.
Yes.
Yeah. The problem is many times Indians speak on behalf of things that they don't know. Let me. I'm responding.
I'm an
I'm responding.
citizen. You should actually say.
One second. My name
I'm
is-
responding.
Yeah.
My name
I'm
is
responding
Anand.
right now.
You're Arun, right?
I'm responding right now. I am Arul.
But I'm saying my name is Anand. So you said Osman prepared only one Qiraat?
I'll come to that in a bit. Yeah. My fundamental point. Are you both together?
Yeah.
He's my.
I'll come. Okay. My point. Sriram. Yeah. Sriram. My point is very simple. Yeah. I challenge you that there is no Buddhist who would go around claiming that Buddhist text is perfectly preserved. Perfectly preserved. No Buddhist would do that. I can challenge you. You would find no Hindu who goes around claiming Vedas are perfectly preserved. You wouldn't
They
find.
do claim that. I know
You
people
understand
who
the
do
word
that.
perfectly preserved?
They do claim because of the memorization rules of the Vedas,
Are
it
you
cannot be
saying-
corrected.
no, hold
So
on.
this kind of thing exists
I
in
can.
all religions.
No. No. Please bring evidence to contradict in this regard if you want.
question is not-
But if I were to ask you, Ahmed, would you claim, which is what you did earlier, which is what Muslims do, and it's a fundamental tenet that the Quran is perfectly preserved, no corruption. Is that a claim made by Muslims? Do people consider?
No, I don't think that's
That's not.
You
the
don't
claim.
know? Are you Muslim?
No, hold on. Listen.
Are you a Muslim?
No, let me
That's
explain.
irrelevant.
No, you don't have to explain.
Why do you
You don't have to explain.
So if I'm not Hindu, I cannot talk about Vedas. I mean, why is my personal religion? I could be atheist, right?
No. What I am
I
saying
have
is,
interest in Buddhism.
do you have knowledge about
Yes,
Islamic
I do.
apologetics?
I do. Okay, let's.
And
talk
I am
about-
saying, Ahmed, as a Muslim, do you agree with this claim that this is unique?
haven't even heard
This is
my-
not unique to
you
Islam.
haven't even heard-
Perfect preservation.
Your
I-
name's
you haven't
not-
heard what I
let
said.
him talk for a minute.
I heard what he said.
Yes.
You haven't heard
I'm
what I said.
assuming I heard what he said.
But he's saying something
He's
else.
an independent human being.
But I thought you were. I thought you were bad. I thought you were. I thought you were making it.
You
No,
see,
separate
is-
life form.
Is she the same?
Okay, if you're a different person,
Yes.
please wait for a second. I am speaking about Sri Ram's claims.
Yeah.
Sri Ram's claim is not Islamic claim. If Sri Ram makes that claim to a Muslim would say, that's not my claim. Please don't speak on my behalf.
Can I make a non-Islamic claim as well?
Sure.
I'll admit to you,
But-
as a Muslim, as a believing Muslim, from a completely logical, scientific perspective, I find it mind-boggling the claims that it's been preserved all the way. I believe it is so, but if I sit down and think about how the logistics.
But
have
do you
gone-
agree that there is a claim like that?
I'm saying as a Muslim, I believe that claim.
Yes, and do
From
you,
a completely secular,
Ahmed, but do you think that is an unparalleled claim? That no other religion claims that? Is that what you think?
Claim it, right?
Is that an unparalleled claim? I'm trying to think. Do Jews say that the Torah is authentic? I don't know. Do
Yeah,
Christians
good.
say that the Bible is completely authentic?
I
don't know.
no, in your mind,
Maybe it is.
in your mind, in your
Some
mind,
Orthodox Christians claim the King James Bible is perfectly
I perfectly claim that as a Christian, but a Muslim would reject the claim. That's my
So it's-
point.
so it's
But
not
anyway,
unparalleled.
but that's what
So it's parallel.
Sri Ram is making a point from a point of empathy to all people of all religions. That's where he is coming from in regards to how he is phrasing his
And I
question.
just make the same point from within the religion. I'm telling you from a scientific perspective, I find it very confusing and amazing that it's so.
Now,
you could sit down.
scientifically speaking, I have demonstrated that that claim could not be true.
Hold on.
Ahrufs.
I don't think you have.
Okay,
Ahrufs.
scientifically, let's prove it. Prove it to us.
Ahrufs.
Can we?
Ahrufs. Ahruf is an evidence for the fact of Quranic corruption already.
I don't see how that's so.
That is absolutely
Uthman prepared one standard version, not multiple, one. One.
So where did the seventh Qur'an come from?
Well, exactly my point.
listen.
Where did it come from?
Do you know
But are
the
you sure
concept
about
of
that?
consonants?
Exactly.
Do you know the concept?
Sahih al-Bukhari.
Listen, brother. Arul,
Sahih al-Bukhari.
Arul, let me.
No, no,
I
no,
know
but-
a little bit about Arul.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
asking
give a
you.
give a straight.
Go on.
Okay. When you say Usman prepared only one standard text, do you understand that the harf has nothing to do? Usman at that time, they only had consonants. They didn't have vowels.
Yeah, the Arab, right?
They only had vowels. I mean consonants. You know what that means? In English, if I write the word HT, just HT, it could be hat, it could be hit, it could be hut. Do you understand? Back then, they did not have the concept of vowels.
What's your name again?
Anand.
Anand.
Anand Krishna. Listen to me, because I'm trying to educate you because you don't know.
This is not, no. This is, wow. Anand, if you want to make your point, please make your point. No, wait, no.
Arul, let me finish.
No.
Okay.
Please,
Okay.
if you want to make your point, please do.
I make my point.
Don't make superlative comments like I am trying to educate
sorry.
because.
You were talking on behalf of me because he said something, and you're saying like
Wait a second,
I
Ahmed.
am like from his cousin, so we are the same people.
Anand,
Listen,
nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. All that I'm saying right now is, don't use terms like I am educating because that may imply to him that I did not know that before. I am telling him there are multiple problems with the claim of Quranic preservation.
One problem.
Just mention, don't say you are educating, nothing like that. Just mention your
I'm
problem.
sorry. Listen, I've been here for like 20 minutes, right?
Sure. Just
But
mention.
Let's not be hypocritical because you have been from the very beginning saying this guy's a clown and I will teach you. So let's not be hypocritical.
Did I?
He was
spoke
being
on
very
my behalf.
respectful.
You spoke on. You said he said something, so I have to believe. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Did
We're
I
two
s-
individual human beings.
Anand, when
How many times have you been told
Anand, I'm being very honest here. Yeah? I heard him make a point.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
I respond to that point. I saw. Wait a
want him
second.
to
Hey, wait a second. No, wait. Anand. Please don't make a fool of him. He made a point. I was trying to respond to the point. You piggybacked on that conversation.
He did not.
You piggybacked. Okay. Implying to me that.
I can. We
Tell
can
me
talk.
about
I don't.
That's fine. Please move on. Thank you. That's fine. Please move on. Thank you. So the challenge, if you want to bring multiple different viewpoints,
If you have a are you looking for inquiry or are you already have a conclusion?
I have researched.
So he could have researched too.
I did not. Sriram, he hasn't researched, but he came here saying he's here to educate me. Did he not say
On
that?
a specific point.
Please make your point.
Okay, my point here is in Uthman, the concept of Ahruf doesn't exist in the Uthmanic Mus'haf. The Uthmanic Mus'haf is a consonantal Mus'haf. Just like in English, if I write a sentence with HT, CT, okay, what does it mean? It could be hut, let's say TH, CT, HT. What does that mean? The cat hit, the cut, hut, the cut, hot. It could be any of them. Right?
Good.
This is what vowels do.
Fine.
Okay?
Thank you.
The Uthmanic Mus'haf, there were 5 of them as far as we know, as far as I've read. They only had consonants. They didn't have any vowels. Okay?
Can I now respond?
Let me finish one more.
Sure.
And there wasn't just one. There were 5 of them. Okay? And they had variations between them. They are very minor variations in the consonants as well. Okay? So this doesn't mean corruption because the point, Muslims aren't saying that every version of the Quran out there is 100% preserved. What they're saying is that the Quran has been preserved. Where and how, nobody knows.
Cool. Thank you.
Understand?
I heard what you said.
Okay, perfect. And now you have to prove, the burden of proof is on you to show that there has been actual corruption.
I heard what you
Unless
said.
heard what the Prophet said, you wouldn't know. You're also guessing.
I heard what you said.
Okay, perfect.
I'm responding to you right now.
Okay, perfect.
You know what the problem with what you just said is? It goes against fundamental understanding of hadiths. I completely agree with you. Learning the history of written Arabic very clearly indicates to us that diacritical marks weren't used during the time of Uthman. It's a historical fact. Early Quranic manuscripts themselves, they have half-baked usage of diacritical marks. Fundamental fact that historians know about. But the problem is, people like Ahmed, who follow Islam not from a historical perspective, do not know about this. He didn't know how many mushafs Uthman prepared. He wouldn't know.
You know?
But I did know.
I'm making my previous point.
You said there was only one
Anand,
copy.
Anand, I'm making my previous point.
At me, please. You're screaming at me.
Okay, let me tell you something very clearly, Anand. You made your point. I waited for you to finish. You made your point. I waited for you to finish my point.
You're screaming at me. I think you have a mic too. You don't need to scream at me.
Okay. Maybe because you're from the US, this might be new for you. At Speaker's Corner, unfortunately, even though we have a mic here,
Okay, go ahead.
it's-
Go ahead.
one person speak, okay? Don't do this. If he is speaking, that's fine enough for me. If you want to speak, that's fine, okay? I am trying to manage a conversation where multiple viewpoints involved. Good. The problem is, according the historical fact that you pointed out to Anand, simply implies the very claim. JC,
Happy Father's Day.
yeah, to you too. I'll come to it. The very claim that Uthman standardized the Quran is a fantasy claim. That's what it means. Because unless, like you exactly said, when you record only the H and T, it could be hit, it could be hut, or any such thing. But Muslims, when they talk about the Quranic preservation, they don't allow for that variation.
Let me explain to that.
No, I didn't finish.
Okay, finish.
I didn't finish.
Yeah.
In other words, without diacritical marks, there is no such thing called standardization of the text. Simply impossible.
Let me
And that is
explain.
another hole.
This is a fundamental mistake.
Another hole.
What
You
about,
are making a
what
big
about
mistake,
the oral
Arul.
tradition?
I'll tell you. Let me explain to you that if I write HTCT, okay, let's say you don't know what it is. You can say, hey, I don't know what HTCT is. It could be hot cat, it could be hot cut, it could be hit cat, all of that. I agree. But if I send with that copy, Sriram, who knows exactly what it is? He knows that it's hot cat. That's what Usman did. Usman didn't just prepare the Musaf. He also prepared reciters who had memorized, who had heard from the Prophet, who knew that HT means hut, CT means cat, so that you don't get confused. So you are absolutely right that the text in and of itself doesn't tell you what the Quran is. Ahmed, you read, you know Arabic, when you read the consonantal text, you won't be able to know what these words are. But there is a witness, a first-hand witness who heard the Prophet recite, and Usman prepared tens and hundreds of reciters all over, and he sent them with the Mus'haf. He didn't just send the Mus'haf, he sent the reciters. So that's where you're making a big mistake.
Where do you get your information from? That's a nice claim. Where do you get it from?
It's not a nice claim, because this is the fact.
Where do you get your information from?
Disprove my claim.
No. Hey, you are making a claim. Where do you get your information from?
Every historical book has recorded that Usman prepared 5 mushafs. They're called the Imami Masahif, and he sent the Qaris.
I heard you already. You are saying every historical record says that. Quote me one.
I'll prove logically.
You don't
that's the case.
understand the
I can-
point.
No. Quote me. Provide me one evidence. Don't just repeat a claim. Don't just repeat a claim. Quote me one evidence.
I'll tell you the evidence.
Quote me one evidence.
I'll tell you.
Very nice.
No. Quote me one evidence.
I'm telling you, literally.
No, I'm not here for your claims. Quote me one evidence.
You said you don't want me to educate you. Now you're asking me a question. So
Questioning is not educating. I'm not patronizing you by saying I'm educating you.
which hadith tells you?
I'm asking you,
Which hadith
you
tells
are saying, you are making a simple claim that Uthman prepared mushafs and he sent not just the mushafs as physical copies, but along with it reciters. That's a simple claim.
Otherwise, people wouldn't be able to
Anand,
read it at all.
I heard
There's a reason.
I
There's a
heard
reason. I'll tell
what you
why.
said.
I'll tell you.
My question simply is,
tell you.
where do you get your information from? It's a nice claim. Where do you get your information from?
People who are, is
I'll
this
tell
being
you.
recorded?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. People who are watching this video can go and do the research themselves.
No, do you know? Are you quoting something which you don't
I
know?
am not. People go,
Where do you get your information
I'll
from?
tell you why. I'll tell you why
Anand,
it's
but
the
where
case.
do you get your information from?
brother.
Where do you get your
remember
information
when
from?
you first heard 2 + 2 is 4? Just because you don't remember.
Where
doesn't
do you
mean
get
it's
your
false.
information from?
No, we can
Can I-
find
Not-
these references.
I'm
Where
not
do you get
writing
your
a-
information
I'm
from?
not writing
Guys, we're not going anywhere here.
signed
Can-
Where do you get your information
If you
from?
don't believe me, that's fine. Do your research. Yeah?
Where do you get your
If
information
you don't
from?
believe me, do your research.
Where do you get your information from?
I
I've done my
from
research.
My memory. It's from my memory.
From where? According to your memory, where did you get this information from?
Okay, can I ask you a
No, we
question?
can
Can I
look
ask
it
you a
up, but
question?
that's not.
Where? Please look it up.
Can I ask you a
Please
question?
look it up.
No, no, but let's say that was
And
true.
please look it up.
Assume that it's
Guys,
true.
yeah,
let's say
It's not true.
Okay,
It's not true.
Okay, perfect.
Please look it up. Oh, sorry.
Can I ask
Sorry,
you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Anand, you haven't answered. Please don't make claims that you can't substantiate.
I've answered your question.
Please
I
don't make
from
claims.
My memory.
When you go home,
I have remembered,
when you go home,
brother.
when you go home,
Arul,
Anand, when you go
are
home,
you Tamarian?
I am.
Okay.
When you go home,
நான் சொல்றது
நான் சொல்றது நீங்க நல்லா கேளுங்க. Do not claim if you can't back it up. If you can, if you
establish these rules.
okay, let me put it this
This
way.
is the speaker's corner. I can say whatever I want.
This is how, if I didn't realize you were here to claim whatever you want. I thought you were here to establish some historical facts. That's how you began.
No.
That's how you began.
This is from my memory because I don't want to misquote something.
Would you
I
like
can say
Would you like me to quote Sahih al-Bukhari for you as to what Uthman did?
So you're going to prove to me that Usman didn't send any reciters, right?
I am going to read to you one example of a hadith which gives you details of what Uthman did, and it will not talk about him sending reciters. Will not talk about it
Just because
at
the
all.
hadith doesn't talk about it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Hadiths.
Just because the hadith doesn't say Usman ate in the morning doesn't mean that he never ate in the morning.
Anand.
The absence of
Anand.
evidence is not the evidence of absence.
Anand.
You need to understand.
Anand.
brother.
Anand.
Arun, I'm done talking
Anand.
to you. It was very nice to talk to you,
Anand,
Arun.
good to see you.
Vanakkam.
Vanakkam.
Take care.
Yeah, speak to you later. Bye bye. So the very important thing, Anand, is the
I just wanted to say one thing before
Please.
you guys go. When you were asking, show me the evidence of how you know that it was memorized.
Sorry.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's logical evidence.
Because that's how
But
the Bible has been
there's
recorded
logical
as well.
evidence, right? How many people were literate in 1,400 years ago? It's in 600 AD Quraysh. How many literate people were there in the world? 0.1%? 1%?
No.
Even less, right?
No. Wow. That's a massive claim. What's the evidence for that?
So how
What's the
many-
evidence for that?
How many people do you think could read in Quraysh of 600 AD?
I don't know. Maybe plenty. I don't know.
Maybe plenty, that's wrong. No.
I don't know.
Because it's,
I don't know how many. I don't have a
I'll
percentage.
tell you why.
Yeah.
Each village, of 1,000 people. may
What's
have
the evidence?
historical evidence?
Yeah, what's the evidence? Yeah. It's nice to hear a word historical evidence.
Okay,
What's the evidence?
You can look at literacy rates over time.
Yeah, what's the evidence?
They were called
You can
in
look
the
at
Quran.
literacy
They were
rate.
called
I'm
the
trying to tell
Ummiyin.
you.
Yeah.
You can look.
One
You
second.
can Google what is the literacy rate in the world across time.
You ask Google if you want, Ahmed.
So I'm just trying to make a logical point before you break it down. Let me
Say
just
that the
say what
Quran
I'm
has
saying.
been corrupted.
All I'm saying is, back in those days,
Ahmed,
please let me-
go on.
Back in those days, people in general could not
To
read.
show that something has been corrupted, we need to have.
I disagree. Please provide me evidence. I can provide you evidence for the fact of widespread literacy, even in Arabian Peninsula. I can provide you evidence for monotheism being the primary religion across the Arabian Peninsula, even for a century or more before the advent of Islam. All of these are conclusions from solid historical research
Okay, this is
available today.
Before the
So
Hujjah-
to- okay, are you a Muslim, my dear friend?
No.
You are? So, what's your name? Ali.
Listen, all I wanted to say was
Yeah.
that before the Gutenberg revolution, before they started printing books mass, in general people could not read. Why? Because
I disagree. Have you heard of rock inscriptions? Rock inscriptions?
rock inscriptions.
Yeah.
Yes. Of
Why
course.
would-
the paintings?
No, inscriptions,
Yes.
writings.
Okay.
Even hieroglyphs. I mean, we
Hieroglyphs.
don't. How do we know? How
Oh,
many
plenty of. Exactly.
I'll tell you
How?
how. Because in general, education, the level of education in those times was very, very low.
Claim, that's a claim. That's a very definition of a claim. Give evidence.
We don't necessarily.
Evidence.
They could be well educated by the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh could have educated.
Give me evidence.
I can
Ahmed,
tell
you
you
need to go with evidence.
Slaves, not slaves like from the Atlantic slaves. They were treated good, as far as I know.
I don't know about that, man.
Evidence.
That's what's called indentured slaves.
No, evidence-wise, Ahmed.
When
Given
you're owned
food,
by
they
a
were
family,
given
right?
shelter.
Yes. But like the point was that the only people that could read was like the priest class or the privileged people. In general, people could not read.
Ahmed, that is not the case at all.
Maybe
Even
European peasants, but we don't know, like in the Egyptian,
In our-
ancient Egypt, we don't.
No, because because in the Sirah, because of, let's say the Prophet's uncle, Waraqa ibn Nawfal was the only man in this village. I mean, when he had his revelation, he ran to him, right? He was scared, and he went to him. Why him? Because he was the only learned man in that area. Right?
So
it's like one person could read.
Ahmed, no. Ahmed. When was this?
So people used to memorize stories.
When was this
That's
written?
how-
So you're quoting a reference. Why do you believe in that
I don't
reference?
have reference to get. What do you mean?
You're
I'm
quoting.
using my. I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
I
why.
can.
I'll tell you why.
Go
Because
on.
it seems irrefutably logical that a lot of people back in the day could not read.
I can tell you honestly, confidently, that historical. Please bring a shake. Please bring a shake. Honestly, historically, Ahmed, I can tell you that evidence, even in the Arabian Peninsula, very clearly demonstrates that there was reasonably widespread literacy rate in Arabia.
Where's your evidence?
The evidence is, if you refer to Ahmad al-Jalad's, no, this is not laughing stuff. This is real, solid historical research.
Ahmad al-Jalal.
Ahmad al-Jalad is a researcher who is based in the Ohio State University right now.
What does it say?
I'll come to that. Michael MacDonald is a researcher who is UK based. They have studied rock inscriptions from across Arabian Peninsula for a long time. And today,
Only the Arabian Peninsula?
their expertise. I'm purely talking about their expertise because I'm talking about Islam right now. So this is hundreds and thousands of Safavidic inscriptions all over, everywhere, where Arabs were supposed to have lived. The Arabian Peninsula, going into African, Somalia, Sudan, Ethiopia, going north, Jordan, going up to Jordan, Syria. Many inscriptions, writing about all sorts of different things. Plenty of them exist. To claim in the face of the availability of all these inscriptions, remember these are rock inscriptions. These are not pick your pencil, note something down. Because to pick a pencil, note something down on a paper, it's a very simple thing. It's not hard to do. So if you thought about it, if you thought about some idea, you may immediately do it. But to carve in a rock, engrave in a rock is a much more complex business. And so one can easily imagine how out of 10 things that people thought about, only one they attempted doing it. But despite the low ratio of what is in their mind actually getting to the rock, there are plenty of rock inscriptions.
Okay, one can
plenty.
one can
Representing,
easily
and no, I'm not talking about.
Easily imagine, you just said, so one can easily
Now-
imagine
now-
that there is one person that can read and 1,000 slaves that are, he's telling them do this and they're copying.
Slaves?
Or what?
Ahmad, you know what the problem with you right now is? With lack of information, you're thoroughly making up ideas, which I recommend you not to do.
You were stretching.
Earlier, I asked you if you have any evidence to suggest literacy rate was low. You did not have any evidence. I'm now presenting information to you about how many inscriptions we have. Various languages.
I'm challenging that piece of information because if you have.
What is your challenge?
If you have 1,000 inscriptions, how do you know that it was 1,000 people individually writing them down individually and they can individually read, or that it's one architect, right, or artist or whatever, telling 1,000 people, do these shapes? How can you tell that each person that put the inscription can actually read? That's what I'm asking.
Okay,
From a logical point of view, not historical.
That's a very important question. The good thing is today we understand, not me, the scholars, Ahmad al-Jalad included, Michael MacDonald included, they understand Not just the fact that there are things in existence, but also what is written. They can read. And they can read and understand that these were longings of simple, regular human beings most of the times. Prayers from them. Longings that they have recorded along their way, traveling from one place to another. Longing to see their families back home, their wives and whatnot back home.
Sorry, what era is this from? Sorry, you said
Across the Arabian Peninsula.
what era? Like what? 500 BC?
Oh, this is from well
ancient,
before.
Like ancient?
Essentially, the inscriptions. Some of the inscriptions apparently are very hard to date, but the dated inscriptions essentially we have from centuries before Islam began, going into centuries after Islam.
So could it also be that these people were literate, right?
That's my point.
But that the Qurayshis that came afterwards were not as literate as these.
Qurayshi, no record exists for Qurayshi apart from later writings. So I'm not talking about Qurayshi fantasy ideas.
Because I was talking about my point with literacy was that most of the people in 600 AD Quraysh, the Prophet's time, could not read.
Ahmed, did you listen to my previous challenges so far?
Of course.
Your Islamic literature, Hadiths, Seerah literature are fantasy ideas as far as I am concerned.
Of course.
You haven't provided evidence so far. I am giving you evidence, evidence-based insight. You are making claims again from your fantasy things which you haven't established to be
we're
true.
talking about literacy.
Qurayshi,
From a logical point of view, and it's not fantasy. Like
logical point of view, you cannot even talk about Quraysh because no one knows if they even existed or not. Because Quraysh, claims about Quraysh are written.
What do you mean they don't know what they existed? I've been to Mecca, I've seen the landmarks. What do you mean?
Which landmarks?
Okay, so Beit Khadija, before it was destroyed about 5-6 years ago, I've seen it.
Sorry, what did you see?
The house of Khadija, the Prophet's
The
wife.
house of Khadija. How did you? You saw some. You might have seen some house which is claimed to be the house of Khadija. How did you? How did you verify?
I personally did not verify, but you just said that nobody has proof and this is fantasy. I told you I saw something, so it's not complete fantasy.
Ali, you understand the word proof. You understand the word evidence. I'm not into claims. If Ahmed is only interested in claims, then we have got no conversation because clearly
We've been having
Islam.
wonderful conversations.
I know. I quite like the conversation, but my point, but my point, Ahmed, is very simple. If you are only going to present claims, and if you're going to be happy with only claims, then my point would be, then we don't have to even discuss clearly. Islam is claimed. And it is claimed, and therefore, if you're going to take it as true, then there is no point discussing it. You know what I mean?
But me and you have...
I am even challenging because I am saying claims are plenty, but evidence is less. That is my point.
You and I, so far, we've not been talking about the details of this book, right? We've been talking about logical points of view. So all I was saying is not a very controversial thing. All I'm saying is, before 100 years ago, before 1500s even, most of the world could not read. I think you should accept that as a claim because it's really
I disagree.
But it's not.
Are you Somalian in origin? Yeah. So Somalia, Ethiopia, Yemen, Somalia, Ethiopia, Yemen. Plenty of inscriptions, plenty. Before, centuries before the time of Muhammad, plenty. To claim that people were illiterate in those areas,
Most people.
to claim any level of illiteracy is ridiculous, non-evidential, and quite frankly, I'm not here to just put few ideas together and pretend it is true. Arul. Yeah.
Okay, let's fast forward. Let's say everyone
Sure.
was literate.
Yeah.
What's your point?
Okay, and that was his. I don't know what he was trying to. Okay,
trying to say
I'm going to take. I'm going to take.
oral tradition. That's what
I'm going to go to square one.
It was nice speaking to you.
Great catching up. Can I please give you my contact? 1 second, please. Can you please email and we can have a conversation over Zoom or something?
Operations team.
Email address. Yeah. Ahmed, great catching up. Wonderful seeing you here.